Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Saturday Night Sit Down with your host, Tammy Pinnock. On today's episode, I want to talk on a topic, abusive parents. Abusive parents. Now, when God gives you a child, He gives you that child so you can look after that child, you can, protect that child, you provide for that child, until that child gets to an age where they are able to now look after themselves and fend for themselves. But whilst that child is under your care, you have a duty of care as a parent to protect and provide for that child. But you find out that in most African homes, our parents are very far from protecting us. Rather, our parents that are supposed to be the protector, that are supposed to shield us from, every attack from outside, you find out that majority of African children are being abused by their own parents. Now, don't get me wrong. I know some people will say, oh, you spare the rod, you spoil the child. When the Bible says spare the rod and spoil the child, it doesn't mean like literally use the rod to discipline that child, use the rod to abuse that child. It's just a metaphor, it's a figure of speech. It means discipline a child, not abuse a child. And this is one thing that most African parents do not understand. They don't get it at all. They do not know the difference between discipline and abuse. For example, when a child does something and you spank the child in the bum, you spank them on the bum, that's discipline. And then you tell them what you've done is wrong, don't do it again. I spanked you on the bum because of this, because of that. And that child will know that, okay, mom or dad spanked me today because I did this. I don't want that spank, so I won't do that next time. Discipline. Or other examples could be, maybe you take away their games, you take away their toys, you take away those things that they love most, that they appreciate most. You take them away for a period of time and you tell them the reason why you are taking those things away from them. On the other hand, abuse is when a child does something and instead of you to discipline them the way you should, you abuse them by, hitting a child. You can imagine a grown man or a grown woman punching, like literally punching a child, or throwing a cup of glass on a child. That is not discipline. That is not discipline. That's an abuse. And most people will say, oh yeah, this is how they brought us up, and look at us today, we are okay. No, it's wrong. It is wrong, because trust me, children don't forget. And with time, when you start inflicting this harm on children, it messes them up, it messes their life. And children don't forget things. And this is why you see most parents, you see them, their children are very well to do, but they just abandon their parents. And people will be thinking, oh, that's a wicked child. How can they just, abandon their parents? But you don't know the abuse that parent or parents inflicted on those children growing up. You can imagine, I watched a video the other day of a father. The father beat this child up like there was cuts. The child was maybe, I can't remember now, maybe 3 years, 4 years old child. beat the child up with I don't know what object he used, but the eyes of the child were swollen, heavy cuts on the child's body. And why? They said because the child wet the bed. Because the child wet the bed. Or sometimes a child asks a parent a question and that's it. They will unleash on that child. And sometimes also when a child fails in school or doesn't do too well on a particular subject, even though they've done well on other areas, the parents would unleash anger, rage on those children and beat the daylight out of them. Some will even use, objects on their children. Some will use, there are some parents, they will even pour you hot water and they call that discipline. That is witchcraft. To me and to any normal human being, that is witchcraft. It's evil. It's evil. Some will pour hot oil on their children. Some will throw chairs on their children. Some will throw broken glasses on their children. Some will beat. There are some that has beaten their children to death. And you tell me take their disciplinarian. They don't take rubbish. No, that's evil. That's evil. Some parents, a child breaks a cup or breaks a plate, they will rub pepper on that child's eye. Pepper, chili, hot chili. Some will rub up chili in the child's eyes. Some will rub that pepper, that hot chili, in the child's private parts. And you call that discipline. And then tomorrow when that child grows up and abandons you, you say that child is a wicked child. After all you did for that child, you are the wicked parent. Our mentality, I don't know, African parents, who bewitched you? Who bewitched you? I know it's the way that our colonial master, the way they treated our forefathers, our ancestors. That's the way the ancestors, treated their own children, and it's been like that from generation to generation. We now see it as the norm in African homes. That when you see a parents, hitting a child with an object, people will laugh. It becomes normal. But it is wrong. It is wrong. When the Bible says discipline your child, the Bible did not say kill your child. The Bible did not say abuse your child. And remember, like I said, children, don't forget. Every abuse you inflict on your child whilst they are under your care, you will pay dearly for it. You will pay dearly for it. And it doesn't matter if you are wealthy or rich. Trust me, a time will come in your life, your money will be rubbish. It will be vanity to you. Then you will require the care of those children that you abused. Those children that you abuse physically. You abuse them physically, you abuse them mentally, you abuse them emotionally. Some of them go up and have mental illness. So child abuse is ungodly. If you are a Christian parent, hear me now. It is ungodly. It is ungodly. The Bible told us, admonishes us to discipline our children. There are so many ways of disciplining children without abusing them. But when God gives you a gift and you don't look after that gift properly, then you have yourself to blame. And remember, parents, that children are like investments. When you invest into something properly, you reap the reward of it. But when you do a bad investment, you reap the bad reward of it. So, if you want your children to look after you in your old age, to love you and look after you properly, you better invest in them now whilst they are under your care. Love them. Show them affection. I don't know why it's so difficult for African parents to say to their children, I love you. It's so difficult, so hardened. They've got no emotion, no emotion at all. So, child abuse is ungodly, it's barbaric, it is evil, and it's inhuman for you to abuse your children. There are so many people out there that are praying to God day and night for children. But no, God gives as He pleases. And then He gives them to you and you abuse them. And when you abuse a child, it has a damaging impact on their lives. It has a great negative impact on their lives. An abusive child, you can easily differentiate a child that grew up in an abusive home from a child that grew up in a loving environment. Abusive child, before you know it, they develop hate and hatred towards their parents and towards others. And most of these children become so violent, they become so aggressive, they're so, they're always angry because of what you have put in them. And not just that, it also affects their self-esteem. Most children from abusive homes, suffer from low self-esteem. Because sometimes even before the child says something, the parents, they've slapped the child. What do you know? Shut up. People are talking, you are talking. They slap the child. They insult the child. It is wrong. It is wrong. It is very, very wrong. And this also leads to intergenerational transmission of abuse. So like I said, because of the way the colonial master treated our ancestors, they treated their children the same way because they felt that is how to discipline a child. And it's been going on for generations, generations to generations. But it is very wrong. It damages the child. It damages the love that the child has for the parents, because as a parent, you are supposed to protect, not abuse. There is a big difference between discipline and abuse. Let's learn to discipline our child, not abuse our children. You cannot throw a sharp object on your child and say it's discipline. No, it's not. And children don't forget, because even I personally, growing up, a lot of things that my parents did to me, I still remember them. And that built a lot of rage in me. I had a lot of rage, a lot of hatred towards my parents growing up. And growing up for me personally, because of what I went through in the hands of my own parents, I decided, I told myself, I'm not going to bring my child up the same way. I'm not going to discipline my child that way. I'm not going to use objects of my child as discipline. I swore to myself before I had my child that I was going to be different. I was going to be a different parent. I was going to show love, because this is something that I didn't feel growing up. I didn't feel love. I felt everything I do was wrong. Every mistake I make, there is a price to pay for it. So I told myself that I was going to be different. I'm not going to bring my child up or my children up the same way. And my child is 15 now. I think I've only smacked him maybe 3 or 4 times. Maybe 3 or 4 times. There are other ways to discipline your children. And trust me, when you stop abusing your children and discipline them the right way, the godly way, the benefits are so much that your children, they become very confident. They can stand out there and talk and speak with confidence. And they do well in school. They do well in school when they grow up in a loving environment and a loving home. So it is time that we look into this issue, especially, the young parents. Young parents, don't do what your parents did to you. Don't do that. Don't do it to your children. It's ungodly. It's evil. Don't do that. Don't beat your children to the point that they are bleeding. Blood is coming out of their mouth. Blood is coming out of their nose. That is witchcraft. It's evil. You beat a child to the point that, some they pour, like I said, they pour hot oil on their children. They pour hot water on their children. They put pepper in the eyes of their children in their private parts. And tomorrow, when that child abandons you, you say your child is evil, your child is wicked. But it's the evil seed that you have planted in that child that you are reaping. So like I said, bringing up kids are investment. Invest wisely into your children. Love them. And I'm not saying don't discipline. Like I said, the discipline is completely different from abuse. So discipline your children, not abuse them. There is a video that's been circulating for, I think, for the past 4 or 5 days of a child that, only God knows what happened between the child and the mom, and the child was just destroying the entire house, throwing things down in the kitchen, just destroying. And, a lot of people were, attacking the child. The child is evil. The child is this. The child is that. Until they heard the side of the child. That child is also a human being. Some people think, oh, because I'm your parents, I have 100% control over you. I can kill you if I want to. No, it's a life. That child has a life. It means when they have a life, they have feelings like you do. They have emotions like you do. The way you wouldn't want somebody to just slap you for no reason is the same way the child doesn't want you to slap them for no reason. The way you don't want somebody to just attack you with a sharp object for no reason is the same way that child doesn't want you to attack them for no reason. They have blood as well running through their veins. Treat them with love. Treat them with care. Treat them with respect. Now, when people heard the side of the boy, they are now like, oh. But at first, when they saw the first video, everybody jumped to conclusion. But nobody ever thought that maybe this parent has abused that child so much, it has gotten to a stage in the child life, the child has lost a screw in his head. It leads to mental illness. At that point in time that child did what it did, the parents must have pushed that child to the wall, and the child had no other option than to react. It's like when you beat a child, you continuously use a cane on a child. It gets to a point in that child life, that cane becomes nothing. It becomes nothing. They will even do worse, because they just think, after all, what she's going to do, or what is he going to do to me? He will use the cane and whip me. Nothing new in that. And then you turn that child into a monster. Because even me growing up, my mom will use, cane and whip the daylight out of my life. But I got to a point in my life, it became normal. I will still do what I want to do. Because I know that when I get home, what's the worst that can happen? She will use the cane on me. Nothing different, nothing special. But when my mom realized that, the cane wasn't working, she will now wake us up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the night, and she will start preaching. She will bring the Bible and she will start teaching. And trust me, guys, that one, the talk was worse than the cane. The talk was worse than her using the cane. It got deep into us. And it got to a point, because we didn't want that talk, we behaved. Because she will wake you up at 2 a.m. She will wake you up at 3 a.m. And she will preach the Bible to you. And she will talk and talk and talk. And she will not even raise her hand on you. Before you know it, you start crying. All my siblings, We hated the talk. But it was the most effective way of discipline. The most effective way of discipline. Sit your children down. They are not animals. They have brain. Teach them, talk to them. This is what you have done. This is what the Bible says. It's wrong. You tell them the consequences of what they have done. They will listen. It is more effective than you using objects on your children, using belts on your children. You will whip the life out of them. Some will even use, I don't know the English word, koboko. They will use the koboko on their children. It is wrong. It is wrong. Whilst they are under your care, invest into the care of your children. Show them love. It builds their self-confidence. And when those children are old, they will never forget you. Because all they knew growing up was love and affection. And like I said, there's nothing wrong in disciplining a child. It is very, very important. Very, very important. But do not abuse your children in the process of thinking you discipline them. Do not abuse them. Because God did not give you that child for you. He didn't give that child to you for you to abuse them. Look after your children. Love your children. African parents, it's high time we unlearn a lot of rubbish that our parents transfer to us. A lot of rubbish. They transferred a lot of good stuff, but at the same time, they transferred a lot of rubbish to us that we too are doing. Unlearn and relearn. Love your children. Show them affection and discipline them the right way. And always talk to your children. Tell them the reason why you discipline them. Tell them the consequences of doing things the wrong way. But do not abuse them. Anyways, that's it from me today, guys. That's it from me. Till next week, Saturday, I remain your host, Tammy Pinnock. And please, guys, if you love my content, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up by hitting the like button. When you hit the like button, you just help me to promote my channel. And also, if you're new to my channel, you are very, very welcome. Please subscribe so that you will be the first to get a notification whenever I upload a new video. Till next time, I remain your host, Tammy Pinnock. Bye now. Bye.
Let it go, make my body go. Take our bodies high.